Camera good. I'm gonna try to be productive this morning. I'm gonna do something a little different. I've been failing my editors by just playing Fiora mindlessly. So what I want to do is I want to get a tier list going for each role, and that way my editors have something to grab. Just for the record, like I'm gonna put this stuff out here, but I also want to make it clear that this isn't necessarily like, if I put something at the front of this doesn't necessarily mean that like I believe that it's gonna be some just automatic OP, like it beats everything by default, because some of these things kind of play into one another. I haven't been recommending, well, first off, for the record, yeah, Nocturne is still Nocturne's funny. I should put him on here because he is strong. The nerf will actually impact mid a lot more. I want to be clear about this. This one is subject to change. This one is subject to change more because there will be a nerf to his passive sustain that comes out soon. Like this, the nerf will affect him more in mid than it does in top, but he'll still be okay in mid. Again, it just comes down to how you play. There's one thing that you've got to remember about mid lane, guys, and that is it's a shorter distance to walk back to mid. So if it really gets that bad for you, you always just go corrupting pot, trash the wave and reset, or worst case scenario, just go flash teleport. Yeah, you won't have ignite kill pressure, but you'll still be Nocturne. So he's good. I mean, he's good. The reason he's good, I should probably go into more detail here. The reason he's good is because he's really hard to kick out of lane. Global pressure is real. His ult is so strong. Spell shield is good. He can pretty much duel the mid laners inside lanes. So like eventually lane phase ends, Nocturne goes to bottom, starts pushing. If a mid lane's out of line, he just dives you. If you don't have a stopwatch, he just dives you. He can also just shove the mid laner under tower and then rotate and get first action priority on mid. So he could just basically collapse to mid and then he's there first. So it's just, it kind of falls similarly to what I've said with Shen in the past of how it's just kind of like a weighted flip. He just rigs the game and that's why he's strong. It's not that he's just going to be like solo killing mid over and over again, but he's going to get prio. And once he gets his items going, he's going to keep prio and he's just going to crash waves and ignore you and kill your team if he can't kill you, or he's going to go and kill your jungler in their jungle. So that's why it's not some like, oh my God, his laning spectacular. Like you never watch someone play Nocturne and think, wow, incredible Nocturne. Like you just don't, that's just not why you pick him. You pick him because he's a good bet. And in mid priority is a big deal too. So that's the idea behind that. So yeah, let's see here on my list. This champion has kind of snuck up on me. I never really agreed too much with LS on champions with or on this particular champion. Hold on a second. I want to make sure I have the right icon. Castaways. We are castaways. I never really agreed with this champion, Annie, but I don't know. She's gotten to the point now where because of this little move speed thing that she gets now, and because her laning has just gotten so much better, yeah, I've started thinking that, or rethinking how I view this champion. Her results have stayed really fucking good. Like if you go to u.gg and check out champions, Annie is basically snuck her way in to a top tier spot, which means that noobs can play her and can actually get value. I've kind of like changed my view on this champion a bit. I've seen it more and more do well. I've seen Smurfs taking it more and more, boosters taking it more and more, boost of move speed and how guaranteed her damage is. There's definitely something here with this. I'm gonna have to investigate this one more because I've always viewed her as very telegraphed and obvious. I've never been a big fan of it, but I think if you can play around her laning phase and actually get a lead with her, either it just be a CS lead or just slow pushing big waves and then rotating first or any of that, I think there's something here, and I think I've been undervaluing it. So the next champion, this one could be subject to change as well. Malzahar. Subject to change because of impending nerfs. But this is another scenario of people taking advantage of how mid's actually supposed to go. So mid, again, is about prio and helping your jungle, enabling your jungle, or being able to quickly rotate and work with your jungle. So the reason that Malzahar works is there's that guy that in the US that hit ranked 1 with Malzahar. And the idea is pretty simple. He just combos a wave and starts running right down to a different position. He just combos the lane and leaves. So good Malzahar players have figured out that they could just push roam. And I've shown it in coachings before, and how effective it is. But it's the concept that you'll be there first. And when it gets to the point where Malzahar is out roaming a lot of the pool, that you have to take notice of it and recognize that like a well-played Malzahar with emphasis on that goal is going to get a really good result. And that's just what it is. And he obviously can't be bullied. He can't be reasoned with when it comes to shoving lanes. So yeah, Malzahar is a champ. Next pick, this one, you know, I've been saying this for a while now, that this guy is good. I don't recommend him a ton in coachings because I just don't like recommending assassins in coachings, because if players mess up combos, I just kind of roll my eyes and go, well, if we played a champion that had just kind of good roam, like push roam, we wouldn't really be in this situation. So it's one of those things where if you're going to play this guy, make sure you understand how his combos work. Make sure you understand that you've got to get the bleed out of his combo in order to get value out of it. But he's also the man. So if you can play him, you're going to get a good result. And by the way, for those who are wondering what the combo is basically just make sure you hit both parts of your rake and then Q. So Talon can win lane and he can roam, and he can beat you to the roam. He can beat you to the chase because he can hop over like every wall in the game. So he becomes a problem in this way. And he just essentially rushes out a lot of damage through lanes, and he'll either get fed through a lane or he'll get fed by getting to scuttle first and full comboing somebody. It's a very, very high damage combo, which pretty much guarantees he's going to get a lead right off the rip. That's tough to beat. Let's see here. Oh, yes. I forgot about this champion. I was going to put this champion on the list. And then I think these first 5 is a pretty good start point for a tier list. This guy, this champion's funny, man. So his like a pure win rate position, it's not crazy. Viego, aka Viagra, he's kind of the embodiment of like what would happen if you just stuck a bruiser in mid, and it's basically like Tryndamere with a stun and like resets or something. This is a champion that will just win games a lot off of resets. And he's got pretty solid scaling. He's got a pretty solid lane phase. He's got a lot of functionality, and I would not sleep on his results, because so like if you go and look at his win rate's not like spectacular. He's just under 50%, but he's banned 34% of the time, and he's still incredibly new champion. So this is one of those scenarios where it's like people are sucking at Viego because they suck at Viego still. There's a reason why this champion is very, very contested at the highest elos of play. It's because the reset mechanic is just stupid. It's just a stupid mechanic. It's a very overtuned mechanic, and it can automatically win games. And if you know what other champions do and play this champion well, he's still not solved yet. So I really feel like after bumping into good ones multiple times, I believe that the results aren't necessarily accurate to what's happening yet. Because think about how many idiots are on this champion when he's finally like available. Myself and I played him the other day. I'm terrible at him. And I knew that if I played him better, I would have won games with him. So it's like, yeah, his win rate's not great, but he is great. And he's too strong for what he does. He basically, once he gets rolling, he just stat checks everybody. Tanks, bruisers, he just runs you over if he gets going. So because of that, he has to go on the list. Otherwise, I think my list is troll, because I've seen it multiple times now do things that all the other champions, like these champions can't do what he can do with leads. Guys, oh my gosh, are you ready? Are you ready? It's a big announcement. Are you ready? 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 It's Boot Camp 2. Yay! It's Boot Camp 2. We're bringing back Boot Camp 2. I'm super excited about this. Listen, if you don't want to hear my sales pitch, bootcamp.law, you can go sign up, pay right now. So, we'll go on the bottom half of this list. These champions are going to be kind of situational-ish, or a little bit more situational-ish. I'm going to start this list with something that I think is just reliable, but it's not like incredible. So this guy right here, you may know him, you may love him. You probably don't love him if you've laned against him because it's obnoxious. Rumble. So the reason why I say he's kind of like, he kind of falls off after lane phase, I think, and the ability to play him gets tougher as the game goes on. And I think a lot of people, a lot of content creators specifically, never really include this little detail about Rumble. His laning is actually godlike. Rumble's laning is really tough to beat. A good Rumble lane, you feel like you almost always lose. This champion, he scales, but he doesn't carry, if that makes sense. He doesn't do it himself. He just is a good ult to have, but he loses to everybody in duels. And he's positionally difficult to pull off. So while his laning is good, I think he gets a lot of people in trouble after lane phase. At least that's been my experience with him and just watching him be played out of lane phase. Next champion, I think will come as not much of a surprise because I complain about this champion all the time. I obviously played him in the boot camp and figured out for myself just how ridiculously strong he is. Sylas. The only tricky part about Sylas, I mean, I shouldn't downplay him too much, but like obviously grabbing ults and using ults in team fights, the combos is tough. But the real skill of Sylas is getting through the fucking lane phase and hitting the farm. This champion is like a nightmare to farm with. You could be playing this game for years and struggle to farm. His autos are piddly. The way that his passive interacts with the autos is weird. And as a result, and then add to the fact that all of your lane matchups just seem to torment you. It can be very, very tricky to get rolling. But once you get rolling, this champion is a beast. So this champion has to go on the list. This champion can beat up everybody in the list after a certain point. It's just, he's very Kassadin-esque in a way. Kind of a tricky lane phase. I would argue that he's actually, in a way, worse than Kassadin in the sense that you will int more on Sylas. With Kassadin, if you play Kassadin right, it's so easy to not int, really. It's also easy to not get anything done because the game ends before you get anything done. But what I'm saying is, like with Kassadin, just like sit back. Sylas, you're incentivized to jump in and do dumb shit, and that can get you in trouble. So yeah, I would say that would be what I would keep in mind with him. Next champion I'm gonna put on this list. I already mentioned him. You guys know what it is. There might be a lot of debates on this one because people don't think he's that good. But yeah, he's still good. He's still really good. He's the final boss of late game. He is the what happens if the enemy team doesn't end champion. The only reason that people get in trouble with Kassadin is because they fuck around too much. And they don't split enough. It's literally it. If you just focus on getting XP, keeping the game alive, you will pretty much always hit your late game and you will 1v9. That's it. that's it. And he also his laning isn't that bad. It's not as bad as you think it would be. His win rate is sitting monstrously high after a lot of matches. You can see 74,000 matches. He's sitting at this win rate. This is not the win rate of an assassin that's supposed to scale. He wins. You have a Kassadin on your team, you're probably going to win the game. So people, the reason that I don't put him higher on the list though, is because I feel that it is actually a very exploitable lane. People just don't end the game fast enough versus him, and then there it is. So he's good. Let's see here. If I had an assassin that I would pick, I guess I have to put this bitch on the list. I hate this champion, but remember, I gave noobs plenty of champions to work off of. So when I put this champion on the list, understand that I hate putting her here, but it's a absolute I'm not happy about it, but I feel like the results alone are just too strong. The results are too strong. Basically, games are chaotic in solo queue, so Katarina always gets value. And she's been able to skirt through nerfs for I don't know how long. I don't know why she's able to do this. But this is another champion where we're just talking pure win rates and pure ban rates and pure pick rates. If you pick Katarina, you're probably winning. And a lot of them do this, which I think is the way. This is the way to play it. Is they go teleport ignite, and they don't. I mean, the good ones will win lane versus you, but really they just look around the map. When people get low, they TP and run at them. It's fucking stupid. I don't like it. I don't like the habits that it creates, but I can't deny the result. Games are just too chaotic, and she just gets way too much value out of it. So people are asking a lot about Akali on this list. I said going into this thing that I was going to focus more on like a lower tier. Akali is obnoxious, but she's not going to be obnoxious for noobs. All these champions that I put on this list outperform the average Akali player, and I wouldn't recommend people playing Akali. I'd recommend people playing Katarina, even though I hate it, because Katarina's damage is so obnoxious and stupid, and you're probably going to find a kill. With Akali, you're probably not going to be able to control the outcome of the game very much. What should the last champion be that I put on this list before I shut her down? Let's see the honorable mentions here. I think I would shy away from recommending LeBlanc and Zed, although those are doing really well and they should be noted. Vladimir as well. I think those champions take a little too much talent to play. So yeah, I think we'll just stick with the Nivea here. If anything, this demonstrates how many options there are in mid right now. So let's talk about a Nivea real quick. So basically, a Nivea is a Nivea. You can't push the fucking tower. It's just what it is. You can't push a tower. She can duel. I've seen Niveas fight champions that like no other champs in the game can fight. I think the reason is just because of how stable she is and how hard it is to get any ground versus her. And she's incredibly hard to actually like dive. So a lot of the bruiser champions don't perform very well into her because of that. Because she just kind of Qs, spaces back, walls, passive, pops up, Qs, spaces back. It's to be really, really tough to beat. And so as a result, I think Nivea belongs on this list. Oh, but yeah, there's some other picks in here that could be missed. But again, it comes down to repeatability and reliability and what they do into certain situations. I mean, the only one that's really tricky on this list, in my opinion, would probably be Silas because of how hard his laning is. But his scaling's so good and his mid game is so good that it's like he's just super useful in all scenarios because his utility is crazy. But yeah, that's my list for today. I'm going to stop here on the list and I'm just going to play. This way my editors have some content to grab. I'm going to let one can grab one of these and one can grab the other. Make sure you guys are following my second channel.